money right now is a credit instrument and it's made up. I co-founded a venture capital company called Ego Death Capital that invests in Bitcoin companies or Bitcoin layer 2 and 3 solutions.
All right, perfect. So, welcome back to Proof of Words Pod, everybody. I am, of course, as always, your humble host, Pat. Today with me, we have Jeff Booth of Ego Death Capital. Tell me a little bit more about this book that you've written. What is the current situation that the world is finding itself in right now?
When I wrote my book, what I realized is if what I was saying was true, as technology was accelerating, there must be something on the other side of the ledger in the credit-based system that showed what I was explaining. And then in the preceding 20 years, so from 2000 to 2019, we increased debt on this planet by 185 trillion to increase GDP by 46 trillion in 20 years. So debt, and at that time, the total debt was about 250 trillion. So there it was, right? It was sitting there. The debt was exploding and increasing to try to offset the technology that should be bringing productivity and prices lower to everybody on the planet. Debt was exploding. But that wasn't the worst part. And I knew this because if you realize that technology would move faster and faster, then you realized the debt would as well. And so 4 years later, after my book, besides the unfunded liabilities, debt is 400 trillion. And so we've increased it now another 150 trillion in 4 years this time. Why? Because we have exponentially technology moving one way, trying to give us better value, and you have to offset it on the other side of that ledger. So people are measuring the world through the broken ledger. And so if you just create more monetary units to measure things, if you just create more pieces of paper to measure things, then all prices go up, right? Imagine you and I, we had the entire wealth of the world. You had 6 units, I had 4 units, and out of 10 units of money. Mm-hmm. And then magically, there were 100 units of money. Magically, right? Yeah. If you didn't have 60, you lost money. You had your pocket picked. And if I didn't have 40, I had my pocket picked. But if you had, instead of 10, if you had 30 or 40, you would think you were winning. But it was just pushing all the prices up and you were having your pocket picked. That's going on the most enormous scale because it's to the tune of hundreds of trillions of dollars expanding. And it has to get worse and worse on the planet today. And it's literally theft.
I mean, I've been kind of sounding the alarm on inflation and what that is for, my entire professional career, I suppose. Maybe the last 10 years or so. I mean, it is theft. And then you compound it with the fact that taxation is theft as well. Inflation is just the hidden tax that people don't necessarily understand. So what is it that, so what is the fix for that? Because this is it's a global macro problem. Central banks are continuing to print money. They accelerated this during the COVID pandemic. So it's been an issue that's become significantly worse just in the last few years.
Yeah. So every single issue from and I'm not, this is not hyperbolic. Every single issue that people think they're talking about and think they're solving from the system is a system problem created by what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. When people get on either side of climate change, you can't solve climate change from a system that has to, if they believe in climate change, from a system that has to grow forever on a finite planet by manipulating money. You could just simplify that entire equation. You could say inflation equals climate change. And seriously, you could, because essentially you're stealing the productivity that should flow to us. So we need to work less and get more every year to be able to transfer it. So we have to work more and get less every year. And all of these things mean democracies, right? We believe we live in a democracy, but we don't have a vote in the rate of theft from us. So that means whoever you're voting for on either side of on either party is actually voting. You're voting for who gets more of the spoils of the theft. what would your politicians look like? When I watch people inside that system yell at each other on all of these issues, taking sides of those issues and making the system stronger and themselves weaker over it, I'm kind of, I pull my hair out. I go, what are you doing? And I mean, so people march down the street, they roll over cars, they break windows, they go home to sleep, and
they have largely peaceful but fiery riots, right?
Yeah, but then they go home to sleep, and it's fixed in the morning. Where did the money come from to fix it? And all of this came from you, all of it, and it's getting worse and worse. And the system has to divide you from each other and fight, and you fight within it to keep its strength. That's the point. So all of these actions that people, even when you said pandemic, and I know there's both sides of this. Some people are on this side. It wasn't planned. Some people are on this. All of these actions are to keep you fighting within the system with each other, because if you're there, then that system gets stronger. And the only way out, the only thing on this planet that it has no counterparty risk to that system is Bitcoin.